What's going on, everybody? So let's get right into it. You're listening to the Crypto Wonder from the Crypto Wonder podcast, and I'm going to delve into some of the things that's been going on within the past couple days in the cryptocurrency market and the other factors that might have affected the flash crashes that were experienced this past Monday in crypto. So you have a market right now that I wouldn't say is budding anymore. 12 years strong. So in comparison with traditional markets, it's still a baby. So the crypto space is basically disrupting everything the traditional markets stand for. Everything. And with disruption, you'll find resistance. You'll find disagreement. People become enraged. People become emotional. Folks don't like change. Change is something that could be very uncomfortable, but I learned a long time ago that change is permanent. So we're forced to embrace change. To the simplest cases, our bodies change every day. So the changes that took place on Monday, this past Monday, some believe were fueled by the remarks that Janet Yellen made in regards to Bitcoin. Janet Yellen is a Treasury Secretary for the United States and is not keen on cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, at all. She made a remark that was quoted in regards to Bitcoin being extremely inefficient. And I also remember also seeing that she said that it was highly speculative. I could be wrong. Post remarks made by Janet Yellen, there was a huge sell-off that took place. Now, some people say there are different factors, different variables that connected together. Maybe in an organized way, maybe in a natural, organic way. The market just experienced a sell-off. We don't know. Well, I don't know. What I do know from experience, I've found that when some of these quote-unquote leaders in the financial area, when they speak unfavorably about anything, especially dealing with something that's so disruptive as cryptocurrency, there's an effect, right? There's a huge sell-off. People panic. People become afraid. They get weak hands and they sell whatever they have because they're afraid that they might lose, value, that the crypto that they have might lose value, might go down to zero, or they're afraid that they might quote unquote get in trouble if they ban or outlaw Bitcoin and impose strict rules and regulations. So they sell. All at the same time. When you sell, someone is always buying. People don't remember certain things. They think about things in hindsight. After, the dust settles, oftentimes we find ourselves in a position where, if we care enough, we reflect on what could we have done differently, right? When everything is cool, when we're even tempered, our mind is less flustered, we could gather ourselves and we look back at these periods where the market just becomes extremely volatile for certain antecedents that take place, or words that people utter, people who have some influence, that they believe they have influence, and shakes the market, shakes the leaves off the tree. And then people in hindsight think, man, they shouldn't have even done that. They should have at least held on, if not buy more. And we're not just talking about buying anything. We're talking about accumulating what is being known as the hardest monetary asset the world has known. And for people to, you see, there's a YouTuber that I've watched over the years. I don't watch so much of his content anymore, but after this whole thing with Janet Yellen happened, my YouTube recommendation list showed this video by a man named Boyce Watkins, Dr. Boyce Watkins. He's a black man who's a professor in finance, and he had his own opinions about Janet Yellen. He had his own opinions about the market. He had his own opinions about cryptocurrency. And towards the end of his, I think, 20-minute video, he mentioned that, people have to be careful. In so many words, people have to be careful because this is like a war, right? Economy, you have to think about economy, the economics, and even, although fragile, but, this is what the system has been working for decades. You have to look at it like a war. If there's some type of groundbreaking disruption that's introduced, people are not going to go out without fighting, right? And so prepare for the likes of Janet Yellen and her strategies, or the strategies of the people she represents, to be imposed on crypto through regulations, through rules, policy making, thereby, inflicting certain laws to restrict or ban crypto. This is a man who says he's a person who hodls. He knows about crypto because of the 2017 bull market. And so he's been in crypto. He's not really a technical person when it comes to crypto, and his fundamental analysis is somewhat lackluster, I should say. He's more of an equities person. He's more of a stock market type of person. He believes that if a person invests in the stock market over the long term, you'll fare well than most other assets investing that there is. Crypto, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, has outperformed any and every stock within the last 10 years, and any type of equity, any asset vehicle. Crypto has, especially Bitcoin, has outperformed any and every asset known to man within the last 10 years. So he has his own opinions. That's what he's saying. I don't agree with them. I don't agree with the fact that people have to be prepared to the point of being scared to hold on to your crypto. Is scared of holding on to your crypto because the likes of Janet Yellen and her comrades, if you will, are going to, go after Bitcoin and try to shut Bitcoin down. This is a narrative that's been played over and over and over repeatedly since Bitcoin has been created. Countries have banned Bitcoin. Countries even declared to ban Bitcoin up till today. And the network effect of Bitcoin has grown larger, and it grows every day. The network effect. So it's either this is something that she's doing, or people in her position and who have her sentiments are working by design to accumulate on the low, because they cannot destroy Bitcoin. Even if the internet were to be shut down, Blockstream has developed a system where there are satellites that people can use to interact with the blockchain. Satellites. Should there be a apocalyptic type of event or set of events that take place by way of nuclear war, I've also heard that people are also discussing ways where they can communicate and use a certain type of scientific method to interact, to draw energy from the Earth's core to transmit data in order to allow the blockchain to work, from using energy from the Earth's core in case if there was any type of nuclear event that takes place where, the electric grid gets wiped out, no electricity or whatever. They'll still have methods. People are ingenious. People are resilient. I don't understand what the fear is about. No, but I do understand. Let me take that back. I do understand what the fear is about. But folks, I don't agree with what this guy, Dr. Watkins, said. Please, don't be afraid to hold on to your crypto. If you have crypto, don't be afraid to hold on to it. That's this type of fear mongering that is debilitating. It cripples our ability to see, to think rationally, to exercise a certain level of our own control and freedom, in my opinion. I don't care how many laws, rules, and regulations these people think that they can enforce. Because the same people that are trying to enforce these laws, the same system that they're representing, these same central banks and government bodies, make no mistake about it, because you cannot believe everything they tell you. Don't think that they don't have Bitcoin. Don't think that they are not acquiring Bitcoin or have at least thought about it. The same time they're telling you X, Y, and Z. It's funny how on Monday, she made these statements. According to CNBC, this tweet that you're watching, she made these statements. And 2 days later, today, the Federal Reserve banking system that allows banks to send money back and forth is down. The Federal Reserve bank system that Janet Yellen represents, who mentioned that Bitcoin is extremely inefficient, highly speculative. Well, the Federal Reserve Bank today is down. So ironic. How ironic. How ironic. How fitting. There's always two forces at work always, right? There's in life, polarities. All things are dual in nature. You always have some type of opposing energies working simultaneously to help create the whole. So on one side, you have the crypto life, crypto enthusiasts, everyone who's learning about crypto. The message is spreading, the message is growing by the day. You think, this is why you have to think, while there's this operation taking place with this technology that is creating breakthroughs moment by moment, the opposing side is frowning upon it because it lessens their power and their control over everything that they have. And they don't want it. They don't want to lose that power. They don't want to lose the control. I find it funny how these statements are made by these central bank people. They want to introduce central bank digital currency, but frown upon Bitcoin. Now you don't just have regular people like me talking about Bitcoin or crypto. You have heads of multi-billion-dollar funds, billion-dollar companies. You have governments who are declaring that they are mining Bitcoin. You have billionaire CEOs, heads of Guggenheim Fund, insurance companies like Mass Mutual, Grayscale, BlackRock, Bank of New York Mellon, who they even said they're the oldest bank known to man practically. I could be wrong, but at least the oldest bank in the United States, who have at least 20 to $40 trillion in asset management, who are getting into Bitcoin. Do you think that their stance has wavered any since Janet Yellen's statement? PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard, Square, the list goes on. Do you think these corporations have wavered any since Janet Yellen made her statement? The universe has a way of working things out that is so magically, masterfully uncanny. She made her statement. This was reported on Monday. 2 days later, the opposite effect happens. Now where she stands. Where's the credibility for those who really frown upon cryptocurrency? You have a right to do that. You have a right to do whatever you want and believe and use whatever, have your own views, opinions. I'm just one person. Doesn't matter if you believe what I'm saying or not. I'm just observing what's taking place in the world. You have a person who's supposed to be trusted as a U.S. Treasury Secretary, right? There's a certain level of esteem, authority, and responsibility that is attached to her position. She declared what she declared with open confidence. 2 days later, the system she represents, the central banking system she represents, is down. I wasn't even aware that the system even allowed, transfers or bank wire transfers in a capacity where, regular people could even have accounts in a central bank, because I don't deal with central banks in that way, in a direct way, But there's another. There are articles and posts and tweets that show all of the functions that are taking place, if you have an account with the central banks, that they just inoperable, unavailable, X's all across the board to let you know that the system is completely down. It is mind-boggling. And shout out to the reporter that made this article. It's the same reporter who just released these two articles, one and both opposing views, same school of thought, as far as this is about how do we exchange monetary energy in the most, I guess, productive and quote unquote efficient way. Which system is better than the other? It seems like Bitcoin is the victor. Bitcoin is the winner here. It just shows that. So what does that do to her credibility? Someone who's actually been the head of the Federal Reserve in her career. What does that do to her credibility? For those who don't believe in cryptocurrency and want to embrace all things related to the US dollar and not believe that the dollar is being debased, devalued through quantitative easing, through inflation, etc., etc., etc. Those of us who have believed that our monies in the banks are safe, nothing will ever happen to it, that anytime we want to do a bank run, we can get all our monies at any given point. Those of us who believe that, how do you feel now when you have a Treasury Secretary who's supposed to represent the Federal Reserve Bank, U.S. government, all these governing bodies and entities that deal with finances, that deal with the economy? How are we supposed to feel now when she makes a stance against Bitcoin and the system she represents is down today, 2 days after she made the stance? You gonna believe her? Go ahead. At any given point, if people were to decide today, right now, while you're listening to this recording, wherever you are, morning, noon, and night, if you receive banking services, if you and everyone in your locale wanted to just run to the bank and close all your accounts, do you think the bank would have the money to give everyone their monies? Do you think the banks would be able to do that seamlessly, effortlessly, with no issues? Do your research. Do your research when there's negative yields. Do your research. Do your research. When you give your monies to the banks, they lend those monies out. They lend them out and receive a higher interest rate than what they pay us. Folks, how do these simple things make sense? And I'm not even scratching the surface with some of the things and how these things operate, how these banking systems have been operating. And we're not even talking about the central banks. And why is there not an uproar? Like, I get it, crypto is sort of like a passive revolutionary element. When you engage in crypto, you're revolting against the economic financial systems of old, the traditional financial banking market systems of old. It's a revolt. But it's to the point where there needs to be more noise, right? I think there needs to be more noise. You know, when people don't know, it's weird because if you would have just bought Bitcoin with this $1,200 stimulus, I mean, don't get me started. Your monies would be worth hundreds of percentage higher today. If you would have bought $1,200 worth of Bitcoin in 2020 when we received, or you were fortunate enough to receive your stimulus, your Bitcoin would have been worth hundreds of percentages higher. Hundreds. I want to say over 500 at least percentage higher. That same $1,200, if you would have kept it and saved it, would have been worth less. Not to mention taxes, not to mention inflation, not to mention just this. What are we doing? We don't care. People just don't care. Folks need to be placed in a position of extreme discomfort to then want to seek some type of change. What more discomfort do we need than what we've been through the last 12 months? What more discomfort? And I'm not talking about wealthy people here. I'm talking about regular people, ordinary individuals. What more that have been severely, directly impacted by these quarantines, these lockdowns, these restrictions due to a health crisis? What more discomfort do we need? These people have called this a war. A war. Our money, we might as well burn it. You might as well burn it. My goodness. My goodness. Not to mention, even the systems in crypto, because it's so new, there's just so much advancement that will be and that needs to be taking place. Because while the market crashed, some people say 15 to 20% on Monday, systems were shut down. The exchanges could not deliver or finalize settlements. There were delays, huge delays. But it's going to take time for these operations to be streamlined or smooth themselves out, so the transactions could occur seamless. But it held up a lot. Like the friction, like we're waiting to get to a point where these activities that take place on the blockchain become frictionless. But her spewing that nonsense about Bitcoin is inefficient and a highly speculative asset. We know it's a highly speculative asset. But what do you call the dollar? Like when folks talk about how they still spin this narrative, they still spin this narrative about Bitcoin being used by people who engage in illicit activities. They're still talking about this 12 years later, as if folks don't use the dollar for illegal activities. People buy into that. Like, open your minds, open your eyes, open your ears. Understand what's happening here. Understand that you have people that are buying Bitcoin like there's no tomorrow, like they know something. When you see something going on and you just sit there and you just watch events take place, it's either you're going to be on the winning side or you're going to be, I dare say, on the losing side. And so many people right now are going to be on the losing side. This is why I've said so often, the future is going to be beautifully horrific for many. Not for all, but for many. It's going to be catastrophically pristine. Because you're going to have individuals who won't know what hit them. Because this is you're talking about technology, a space that advances so fast. There's so many advances that take place. You miss a week in crypto, it's equivalent to missing a month, 3 months worth of information, activity, and updates that take place in the space. I'm telling you, if you're not glued in, if you're not attuned to what's going on, you may be stuck with the short end of everything. You may become stuck, find yourselves in a bad position in the near future. I don't know when, because I don't have a crystal ball. But there's been so many advancements within the last year in crypto. It's just unparalleled, mind-boggling. These corporations, these people are buying up everything. They don't want us to have any of this. Why do you think this is? You think they're listening to Yellen and her rhetoric? The likes of Nouriel Roubini, who is literally butthurt because of the corporation, the corporation conference that took place, headed by Michael Saylor, accusing Michael Saylor of being a cokehead. Like, this is the level of this is what people have been reduced to. Those, you could not believe in crypto, that's fine, but this is where you have people attacking one another. Steadfast. Meanwhile, 3 months, look at the changes that are taking place right here. You have corporations who are not listening to the noise. You know who's getting hit with the noise? We are. The media. If you stay glued to whatever outlet that you're listening to, they're hitting us with the propaganda, static, to distract us from what really needs to be paid attention to get us scared, to make us feel like we're doing something wrong. This is it's a concerted effort, I think. I don't know by whom, but things don't just happen just for nothing. I don't believe in coincidences. Okay? They want to shake us off our holdings, our crypto holding. They want to shake because they see that the value of the US dollar is being threatened. They lied to us, people. They lied to us. They lied. They've been lying to us for so long. How much more are we going to accept? How much more are we going to take? How much more deception? It's no coincidence that the Fed system, Federal Reserve banking system, the United States is shut down right now. It's no coincidence. 2 days after Yellen said Bitcoin is inefficient and highly speculative. Well, there you have it. The universe responded. What role are we going to play now? You're just going to let the ship sail? You're just going to allow the gap of those who have and those who have not widen, continue to widen? There's a race right now, people. There's a race. It's not like, oh, don't think that what you can do today, you'll be able to do tomorrow. Oh no, the chances, they're lessening, they're weakening. Don't think what you can get today, you'll be able to get tomorrow. Don't think that what you can get today, as far as investing in any type of Bitcoin, don't think that you can just put that off and think that you'll be able to get it tomorrow. Them days are coming to an end quickly, because what you could get today comes with a certain price. Doesn't guarantee you'll be able to get it tomorrow at the same price. Doesn't guarantee you'll be able to get it next month, next 6 months, at the end of the year at the same price. Because they understand. Those who are acquiring it, they understand. They understand. The light bulb went on and is not going off. And they want the powers that be, those powers that represent the elitists, as far as the governments and the central banks, they're going to do everything in their power, sure, to shake us out. To shake us out. If you get shaken out, make sure it's for a reason other than fear that the government and Janet Yellen and them, her mans and them, got you so scared that you'll hate yourself in the future because you sold something that's so precious, something that's so rare, like your soul.